Hey guys, how are you? So somebody asked me, would I still use PHP in 2023? So I'm recording this the end of October 2023, and we're talking about web app development. We have a lot of choices out there today. We have C#, we have Java, .NET, right? With C#, .NET, Java. Most people are going to use Spring Boot. We got Python with Django Flask. We got Node.js, of course, with Express, I believe, is still the most popular MVC framework. And then there's PHP, Laravel, and Symfony, and CodeIgniter. There might be others as well. Actually, there are others. So would I still use PHP? Would PHP be my top choice or my default choice in building web apps in 2023? Short answer is, without any other information, yes. But you always, when evaluating any technology, you have to look at the specifics of the project, where some technologies may be superior to others given circumstances. And you also have to look at the business considerations as well. Something that a lot of nerds don't think about. If, for example, you're working at a company that already has a lot of .NET invested, it's kind of silly to move over to PHP or to Node unless there is a really major compelling reason. Always good to start off your morning with a coffee. I have to say, because the languages that we have to choose from out there, C#, Java, PHP, Python, etc., and their respective ecosystems, the frameworks around them for creating web apps, are all pretty good, except for Ruby. Now, Ruby aside, they're all pretty good, so it becomes more and more difficult to find a specific use case for one particular stack or another. They're all very good, so that's the blanket statement. It's hard to make a wrong decision when you're choosing technologies to create some sort of web app in. They're all pretty good, as I just said. That being said, I would still choose PHP. It would be my top default choice for a few factors. Number one, it's really easy to learn PHP. It's really easy to get up to speed with PHP. So if you are a business owner, you want a technology that, beyond other things, it's easy to get up to speed in. So, for example, Rust, out of left field. Now, Rust is very popular with the Rust people, but apparently it's very difficult to learn. I've never looked at it, but based on reading a bunch of articles and so on, looking at surveys, Rust, though very powerful, and it's not a web app technology, as far as I know, it's a replacement for C to C++ if you want really high-performant apps. Anyway, so Rust, though it has huge advantages in terms of the resulting code, it's very hard to learn, apparently. And so if I am a business owner, I'm thinking not once, but twice, maybe even 3 times about whether or not I'm going to deploy Rust, simply because it's hard to teach people. It's hard for people to learn. It's hard to get them up to speed. That means money. That means lack of availability and talent, which to me would suggest there's going to be less Rust development projects out there simply because of that difficulty. On the other hand, you look at PHP, super easy to learn. So is JavaScript. So is Python. Very easy to learn. I would say then a little bit more difficult would be C# and Java. My top 3 choices right off the bat would either be Python, Django, Node with Express perhaps, and of course PHP and Laravel. That brings me to the second reason why I would make PHP my default top choice. It's really easy to deploy. You see, if you want to deploy Node, set up Node, you got to jump through some hurdles. If you want to deploy and set up Python, you got to jump, and Django, you got to jump through some hurdles. Whereas PHP, you just upload the pages, you're done. That's it, it's over. And configuration, super simple. This is due to the fact that PHP is a very one-track language. It doesn't try to be everything. PHP was designed for web app development. We used to call them dynamic database-driven websites. And so that legacy still shows today, where it is a single-purpose language, really, although you can do other stuff with it. I wouldn't. So it's really easy to deploy. So if you want to build little tiny little web apps like this, you want to build some big monolithic enterprise level web apps with the release of PHP 8, this is all very doable. That's the second reason why I would use PHP. It's just easy to deploy. The third reason I would use PHP is that it's got a very robust and stable ecosystem. So, for example, with Node, you got package hell, right? Lots of conflicts, very brittle, blah, blah, blah. That's last time I looked at it, it was pretty bad. And anecdotally, this is what Node developers will tell me. They love it, but yeah, the packages and all this is brittle. I don't like brittle. I like super stable, super easy. So PHP seems to have managed that more effectively for whatever reasons. So that's the third reason I would use PHP. How about a bonus reason? A bonus reason is that PHP is actually very performant. PHP 5X, I think it was 5.3, 5.4, something like that, that ran circles around Python in terms of memory requirements and so on. And then when PHP 7 came out, they skipped 6 for marketing reasons. I don't know, long story. When PHP 7 came out, that was 50% more performant than PHP 5X. So that's huge. So PHP 5 was already more performant than Python 3X. So when the 7 came out, woo! So that means you just need a lot less RAM, a lot less CPU to get the job done in PHP. When PHP 8 came out, there's a slight performance increase, but PHP 8 was more or less an enterprise release to add in a bunch of features that very large corporations would want, but only very few PHP developers ever leverage or utilize. 99.9% of what is in PHP 8, last time I checked, will have no impact on 99% of PHP developers. Anyway, there you go. That said, I reserve the right to change my opinion on that based on new evidence. If Node came out with a brand new package management and all that brittleness that used to be there was gone, I would highly consider it. If Python became super easy to deploy, I would highly consider it. Although I don't like the way they delineate code blocks in Python. I prefer braces. That's just me, having done a lot of Java and JavaScript in the day. Yeah, you got to be willing to change your ideas based on new evidence. Things change. That's the way it is. But that all said, the web stack is pretty stable. The way we build web apps today is pretty much the way we built web apps since 2015, 2016. The only thing that's changed really, in my estimation, is the server models with VPSs and horizontal and vertical scaling without having to engineer that too much into your apps. That's a huge, huge, huge thing. And the other thing was DevOps. In my opinion, DevOps got way too complex, too much reliant on this and that and all these protocols. You have to understand, DevOps really becomes more and more important as the teams get larger and the code base gets more complicated. DevOps became a little bit too much for me. In my opinion, it reminds me of the Java days when Java went from being relatively simple to this ultra complex language where it's too bureaucratic. So we got to watch it with DevOps. I think there's a simplification phase now. People are realizing it's gotten a little bit too much. So yeah, don't over-engineer stuff. All right. That's it for today. My name is Uncle Steph. Some people call me Steph. My ex-girlfriend has different terms for me, which we shall not say. I mentor people in coding and development based on my decades of experience. Check it out, UncleSteph.com. And if you want to learn about your lizard brain, my most profound course ever, check out Lizard Wizard. Link is below. Bye-bye.